Alright, you guys have seen me work on just about everything in the shop. Now it's time to work on the one thing everybody talks about and I really love. This is my 68 Chevy Nova. It has in it a, wait for it, LS6 and 6-speed manual transmission out of a Cadillac CTSV. And what we're going to do with this is we're actually going to pull just the trans out. We're not going to, well, we'll see if we pull the bell housing. But as it stands right now, we're just going to pull the transmission out of it. And the reason why is because with the clutch setup that I bought, which was designed to go in the Cadillac CTSV, it turns out that it's really hard to drive it in the Nova. And I'm going to cover why it's really hard here in a minute, but we'll just stay tuned and I'll show you what my plan is and why I'm doing what I'm doing. This car has been completely built 98% by me, and what I mean by 98% is there are some things where I just needed a hand, but it wasn't like all the paint work is mine. All this interior work is mine. All the gauges, mine. The engine, putting it in, touching it up. I had some help with the wiring, and other than that, it's been all me. But here, I'll have to draw it out and I'll show you why I'm going to pull the transmission out. Alright, please excuse the crudeness of my drawing. But here's what I got going on. This is my foot, this is the clutch pedal, this is the clutch pedal travel. This little line here, this little colored in spot, actually shows the amount of pedal where the clutch is in that sweet spot, you know, where you can like feather it and rock it and such forth to get your clutch to work. This is the working spot. This is where you have to start out, and it's way at the top. It's hugely at the top. And whenever you're trying to drive the car, I'll demonstrate this. Alright, what I end up doing is right there. That, I don't know if you can tell, but right there's all the spot, all the space I have for clutch movement. And that takes a lot of concentration to get right. So, what we're going to do is whenever I installed my clutch, I don't have the original Cadillac clutch, I have a clutch for an LS7 Corvette, I think, or a C7 Corvette. I think it's a C7 Corvette. But anyway, the clutch and flywheel were a different size than the original Cadillac. So what they did was they provided you, here's my clutch slave cylinder, they provided us with this spacer. It says right in the kit I bought, which, like, I'm not sponsored, I'm not here to knock them, it probably works beautiful in Cadillacs, but it says put this spacer in so your Cadillac clutch will work the way it used to. Well, I have a Cadillac transmission, CTSV 2004, so I went ahead, bought the spacer through it, and didn't think any problem of it. But the problem is you have to hover your foot. Your foot is not actually touching the floor in most cases to actuate it. So what I'm hoping to do is remove this spacer, take it out, gone. That moves the clutch slave back. So that means it'll take more pedal travel to engage that clutch slave cylinder. What I'm hoping is it'll end up even right here. And the other thing I'm worried about is the fact that with the clutching, actually the sweet spot being so high, I'm not 100% sure that with the pedal the whole way out, the clutch isn't still pushing on the fingers. The fingers might be getting just a little bit of tension against them, and any tension at all is bad. I'd rather have it retreat too far back than actually be riding there wearing out those fingers. So we're going to take a look at the fingers. If the fingers look at all bad, we're going to pull the bell housing. Wow, we're going to measure first, but then we're going to pull that bell housing and see about getting another clutch. If the fingers look good, and I just remove that spacer, and I get in and that seems to work fine, like it moves the sweet spot lower, all's great. We'll just go ahead and throw everything back together and call her done. If not, what we're going to have to do, and I'll probably actually do this before I reinstall the transmission, is measure the distance from the bell housing, where the clutch slave should start, all the way up here to the clutch. Well, you're actually supposed to measure, I think, onto the fingers. I might have to research some videos to actually figure that out. But that is my plan for today, probably into tomorrow, and then I have another project to do to take care of the power steering. The power steering's never worked in this thing either. But I'm trying to stop working so dang hard on projects that don't mean anything to me and start working back on the ones that I want to do. And this is part of it. This car has been driving well. It's like it's like driving a go-kart on steroids, because the way it sits, how tight the suspension is, it's got rack and pinion steering in it, it's got full CPP front suspension with coilovers. I mean, this car is built to the nines. However, there's just some things that aren't quite perfect about it, and I'm going to start taking care of those. Just make it a little bit of a better driver. Alright, next time you see this car, I should be disconnecting the shifter and then jacking it up to tear apart everything else. Alright. To give you an idea how tight basically how firm this car is, I got this side jacked up. The front's on jack stands. I got two jack stands on the front, but I just started jacking the back. I got the jack almost fully extended, and there is nothing under this side. That is just how the suspension and everything really works in this car. It's got subframe connectors in it, which is nice, but yeah, it's cool. My little go-kart. But anyway, I'll show you something cool that I discovered, that either I designed it this way or I got lucky, and I'm gonna go with I designed it that way. Alright, because this was in the Cadillac, the shifter is remote mounted, and I knew that there was like a bolt underneath here that attaches the bottom of the shifter, attaches to a rod that goes to the front of the transmission. It actually actuates the shifter. I thought maybe I could get at it like through here, but I didn't leave myself enough of a hole. I couldn't get at it, whatever else. I thought, well, I'm trying to figure out if I should pull the carpet up and pull the seat out and everything else. Maybe I'll just go ahead and crawl underneath the car. That shifter right there is actually mounted to the body, and you'll see how here in a minute. But so I crawled underneath the car after I got it up in the air, and I was looking around. Excuse me. And lo and behold, what do I see here? Right up there. Huh, there's that bolt right there. I can get to it from the bottom of the car. Isn't that freaking sweet? I didn't even have to pull that shifter boot up. But anyway, this is my transmission Crossmember. I bought this. No, I did not make it. What I did do though was I added this gusset, because this one's for a typical T56 that would have had mounted right up through here, and instead this one mounts on the side. I made these ears which came up and off, and the transmission just sits right there in that pocket. and these bolts are actually the ones that attach it. I've already started disconnecting my wiring. I got a speed sensor here. I forget what other sensor's there, and I think there's one more on the other side I gotta disconnect. And then I peel back this wiring harness, and then I can take like these bolts out. 1, 2, 3, I think there's 8 of them total. 4 on this side, 4 up that side. And then this whole puppy should come right out. Maybe. We'll see how far I get today. Alright, out. Well, let's see how we did. Oop. Sorry about that. Bumped the button. The drive shaft is off. That is a companion flange to mate my companion flange transmission. There's no slip yoke on this transmission to the drive shaft that has slip in it, like a 4x4 drive shaft. But anyway, I got wiring harness is all disconnected, and it's still labeled from when I installed it. And as you go around, all the bolts are out except for I left one per side, and they're broke loose. The ones on top are gone. I just left the ones that I thought would be the easiest to get to with a tranny jack. So tomorrow, I'll get the transmission jack underneath it, take out the trans cross member, run them 2 bolts out, and slide this puppy out. Should be, yeah, that easy, right? Yeah, right. Alright. Peace. So let's recap. Where did we leave off? Most of the trans bolts to the bell housing were out. I left 2 in for sakes. How to hold it up, I gotta remove the transmission cross member and then get the tranny jack out and see if I can use it to get the trans out while leaving the bell housing attached. Yeah, that's where we are. Last day of my mini vacation. Let's see if we can make it count. Well, it's out. There she be. Oh wait. Ah, dang it. I need a light. There she be. Sorry about the weird camera angles, but I don't really want to drop my exhaust, so I'm back against the H pipe and I'm just clearing the bell housing. But see if I can roll over here. Alright. I'm trying to film it. The clutch itself looks good. The fingers look good. I'm going to take a break right here. And call the company that sold me this kit. Excuse me. As you can see, up here is the... Hang on, I'm having real lot of trouble filming underneath here. It's kind of tight. Okay. Sorry if this is an awkward angle, but this is the clutch slave. This is the slave piston. The bearing it rides on the fingers. Input shaft that goes into the throwout bearing. Throwout bearing goes there. But anyway, this shiny piece behind it is the aluminum spacer that I bought, that they said I needed, and I'm really questioning if I need it, because like I said about that whole pedal travel thing, well, that's a huge chunk of aluminum, so kind of wondering how that'll affect the pedal feel and travel. Maybe I ought to just take some of it off. I don't know. I'm gonna ponder this for a minute, because that sucker's easily 1.5 inches. And if I put it all the way back, I might not have enough pedal to travel that far. But I know I need less than this. Somehow in my mind I thought it was only like a 1/4 inch spacer or something. Let me do some research and some thinking. So what did I learn? I learned a few things. I did some research on the internet. This is the slave cylinder out of the car, and it had this. This is the shim that went behind it, the spacer. And after doing a whole bunch of calculations and measurements, 3,450. This was the distance. This was the distance between my bell housing and the fingers on my clutch. And then this right here was the distance from the pilot bearing to the transmission where it bolted up to the bell housing. So we got about 75 thousandths worth of travel. We were close. We were about a 1/16 of an inch off. So this thing had 1/16 of an inch of pressure against it. After doing some research online, I found out that right around a 1/4 inch is what you want. I don't have a 1/4 inch. I got 75 thousandths. Although this thing only travels about 1 inch. That's it. That's max travel for this. It's all the further it's ever going to travel. So normally it's riding like this, and it was 1/16 off. What I did was I had 75 thousandths taken off this, taken off the spacer. So that puts me, or 175 thousandths taken off, with the difference between these two numbers, this one and this one, being 75 plus 175 equals 250. That gives me my 1/4 inch. I don't want to go, even though I think I could, I don't really want to go any further because I'm afraid of clutch slippage. But if I get 1/3 of my pedal, or excuse me, 1/4 of my pedal travel back, actually a little less than 1/4, it should help make the car more drivable. If it doesn't work, then this summer, then I'm going to end up doing this again next winter. And, taking a little more off this maybe, or I don't know. See, a lot of times they say to take some adjustment out of your pedal, but with the fact that I used the Cadillac master cylinder, which is back here, there's no real adjustment on it. You know what I mean? So it is just kind of what it is. I mean, I could have this pedal back a little further. Actually, I think it's a little too far up, but I don't know. I don't know what else to do. We're going to give this a shot. If I like it, we'll keep it. If I don't like it, we'll change it again next winter. Alright, a double tip and just a tip. One of the things I like, and I truly believe in, is anti-seize. I know this is the copper stuff, but the other stuff I have is spray, and I don't want to spray anti-seize over my clutch. So even though this is high temp anti-seize, it'll work good enough. But whenever you put a transmission or an engine on, I always like to take those dowels and put a little dab on them. This is a little more than a little dab, but you get what I mean. Just make sure you anti-seize them, because that way if you ever got to take it back apart, it's a lot easier. Save my butt on the Nova. Now, the second tech tip is to keep a bunch of these cheap kids disposable freaking paintbrushes around, because you would not believe how many times I've used these. I buy a pack of like 100, and in a year I need more. So there's your 2 tips. I'm sorry I'm not filming more of this, but there's just really no way to film it underneath there. That car sits low enough, and then everything else sits on top of it. But this is the trans mount I made a long time ago. Well, I made part of it. The original T56 that would have came in a Camaro or a Firebird bolts up right here. these two bolts. And what you typically do is put this plate and then the rubber spacer, and then your trans mount has got the single bolt in the bottom. But what I did was, for my transmission, since I don't have the typical T56, is I bolted these two plates, bam bam, and then I tacked it to this top plate. See how it's like grade 8. And then I took it out of the car, welded this piece in to gusset it, and then my bolts from the sides instead of from the bottom. It's not really a big deal once you get used to it, but the transmission's sitting right where it would have been otherwise, and then I just had to get the companion flange and make my own shifter. It honestly, they say don't use it. Yeah, if you have a choice, if it's $100 to use the Camaro Firebird T56, and I'm just throwing a number out, or $100 for the CTSV one, I would definitely use the Camaro Firebird one. But because these ones aren't so desirable, I literally saved like $2,000, and it took me like a week of head scratching to figure out how to make everything work. But alright, I'm going back under. Well, we're getting to the end of the first full day, but theoretically it's day 2. We got the transmissions all back in. I got the exhaust somewhat put back together. Oh, I gotta wire it and put the drive shaft back on. See, drive shaft exhaust wiring. To remind myself what I gotta do tomorrow. And then we'll move on to this guy. But it's been a hell of a day. I ain't ate yet. I'm supposed to cook dinner tonight. Mrs. Night off. Here's something to note. I borrowed this, and I debated a long time for buying my own transmission jack, and I still might. But I was arguing myself over the 3-ton Harbor Freight versus, or excuse me, the 2,000-pound Harbor Freight, or the 1,000, or the 400. Now, I don't think I would go with the 400 because I do have some light-duty diesel. Well, I have a light-duty diesel truck that maybe you guys will get to meet one day. But this sucker under that car was a nightmare. And well, I shouldn't say it was a nightmare. That's kind of an exaggeration. It was extremely difficult. It was still easier than not having one, but quite frankly, quite honestly, I tried to put it back in its corner. It didn't work out so well because even with the car up that high, and even with I even jacked the front end up the whole way with my fancy Harbor Freight jack that lifts as far as any jack had ever done in the history of the universe, there still wasn't enough room to get the whole thing out. So I did all my work with the transmission still underneath the car, which was a bear. But it's done now. We're going to shut down for tonight. Get a shower and go get my kids. Have a good one. Alright. Boom, boom, boom. Those 3 things and the transmission should be done. I'm not going to clean up because I got quite a mess. I'm busy with other things too. Christmas. Yay! Crafting. Yay! I actually like crafting a little bit. Let's finish this up.